Hey everybody, in this video, I'm going to tell you what the absolute fastest you can get your house closed and sold if you just inherited it and you do not have a will. I'm also going to tell you how we got Mrs. O and her brother $315,000 for their inherited home in DeSoto, Texas. We're able to do it in 45 days, but I'm sure we can do it quicker for you guys, and I'll show you how. Let's get started. All right, y'all, if you just inherited a home, if you have a fixer-upper, if you have a house you don't know what to do with, send it our way. We would love to give you a cash offer. The absolute fastest you can get your property closed is 1 day. Okay, that is best case scenario. That is all the stars aligned, but that's most likely not going to happen. The most realistic time frame is 30 days, and I'm going to tell you why. But maybe you can get it done in 7 days, and I'll also tell you why. When you inherit a home without an inheritance, you have to do what's called an affidavit of heirship. An affidavit of heirship is a document that lists all the heirs that are involved in this property and describes how you, the seller, have the rights to the property, or whoever else has the rights to that property. Okay, so technically speaking, that could be done in a day, but most people don't just have that information readily, right? You're going to have to know the grandfather and grandma, the brothers, the sisters. You might not know that information right offhand, but let's say you do, okay? This is best case scenario. Let's say you fill all that information in 1 day, and you also need to know their addresses as well. You need to know where they live. You need to know their date of birth, etc. You might have to text your family members for that information, and you simply just might not have it. Somebody might not text you right away. Okay, so that's one of the challenges with it. But let's say everybody texts you right away, or you're meticulous, you kept track of all those records. The other issue you're going to run into is you're going to have to get 2 witnesses that can corroborate the story. Okay, so best case scenario, let's say you got 2 witnesses that are not related to the family, but they've known the family. Most likely, they can't just drop everything they're doing and do it same day. Okay, most likely you're going to have to schedule them 3-4 days ahead of time. But let's say best case scenario, again, they can do it same day. Okay, the other issue you're going to run into is you can always do a quick claim deed at down at the county. But the reason I recommend not to do that, because when you do a quick claim deed at the county, a title search is not done. So if there's massive liens on that property, you're not going to know that. And the buyer is going to want to know those things. And they're also going to want insurance on that property to ensure that you're the rightful owner. And if anything happens down the line, they're not losing all their money on this investment. Okay, so those are the challenges you're going to run into. Another issue you're going to run into is if there's a mortgage on the property, if there's any tax debt on the properties, if there's any liens on the property, you're going to have to get what's called a payoff. Okay, you're going to have to get a payoff from the bank. You might have to get a payoff from the city. If there's mowing liens, maybe the property wasn't taken care of, and that's going to take 7 to 10 days to get those back. So those are the challenges why it just can't be closed in 1 day. But it is possible if you have a relationship with the title company, or your investor has a relationship with the title company, they will be willing to push it through in 1 day. If you have all the witnesses, if you know your family tree, and there's no liens on the property. Okay, so it is possible. A more realistic time frame is 7 to 10 days, because that gives the title company time to research everything. You could always hire a real estate attorney, but you still run into the challenge. He has other clients. She has other clients. Why are they gonna stop what they're doing just to help you out? Again, you're gonna need a relationship, and that's where an investor comes in. So best case scenario, in my opinion, if you don't have a will, it's going to take at least 30 days to get that deal closed, 30 days or less. So where I come in, how I can help you is I actually have a relationship with the title company, and they'll do it as fast as they can. Now, the story of Miss O and her brother. Okay, so they inherited a property. She was actually a veterinarian. She was a doctor. She considered herself a doctor, in which she is. And her brother, I would say, he was borderline living on the street. So that was the difference between the two of them. Okay, so we reached out to her through text message. She said she wanted to sell it. We called her. We set an appointment to meet, but she was super, super busy. Okay, she actually ran a animal clinic. So I tried everything to get a hold of her. I mean, I sent her pizza, I sent her cookies, but she just was simply busy. Following up with Mrs. O probably took about 90 days. Okay. Another reason she didn't want to sell so quickly, which is very understandable, is she had sentimental value to that property. Okay. It was her mother's property. So she was the executor of the estate, so she was the final signature on that property. She had the right to sell it. It was her brother, and they had a little nephew that was under 18 that was going to inherit the property, and she was signing on his behalf. So we opened the title. She thought everything was going to go smoothly because her brother already indicated that he wanted to sell. But when he found out that the house was actually selling, right, he was borderline living on the street, but he was a handyman and he had the skill of fixing up houses. So he thought he did. So him and his sister started arguing. He's like, "Sister, let me fix it up. Let me fix it up. I can fix it up. Let me keep it." And she's like, "Okay, well, you can keep it, but you don't have any money to fix it up." That was the issue. Okay, so she talked to her brother, and they finally ended up closing on the property. So the last challenge we had is she had a 1945 pickup Chevy that her dad left behind, and she didn't want to close with it still being in the house. So what I did is I called the tow truck company. They charged us $1,500. We actually paid for it, and they transported her car to where it needed to be. So that's what we did with the seller. We got it done and they were happy. So y'all, if you need to close your property super quickly, you need that relationship with the investor. If you don't have the relationship, it's probably going to take a little longer. We're here. We can help you. Looking forward to hearing from each and every one of you.